think of music cities, you probably think of places like Memphis, Chicago, or even New Orleans. But Houston has a musical legacy that few other cities can match.
Houston was a place that the people loved the music.
Houston has its own unique blues history and culture.
There was a period of time when black music recorded by black owners for black audiences was a thriving thing in Houston, and it began to cross over and have some success beyond that.
You understand that the people who were creating this wonderful music were just a few years out of slavery? I mean, do you realize that?
The iconic photo of Grady Gaines on top of Little Richard's piano, that was a scene from a movie shot in the 50s called Don't Knock the Rock. And I think it woke up people that, man, this stuff is wild. You know, this is like something we've never seen.
And so they express it, and it comes out natural, and you can feel it.
This is the story.
So I think that's what Houston has. We have the real soul.
His shtick was, he'd be playing and he'd do somersaults,
I got a running start. Jumped off on the floor. I didn't think I was gonna flip, but I did.
You ain't nothing but a hound.
Big Mama Thornton recorded You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog 3 years before anyone had ever heard of Elvis Presley.
When we talk about the origins of this great American pop culture explosion, let's not leave out Big Mama Thornton.
Her version of Hound Dog is definitive. Elvis's version sounds like bubblegum.
Houston had more female singers because it was a more wide open town. There's more places to play. There was no prejudice against it. And, Texans love women.
We mostly were hearing the men. So musically, we were letting them know we could stand toe to toe.
I'm so forgiving.
Everybody get the blues. Even my baby get the blues. The baby can't get the bottle or get the milk. He go cry. He got the blues.
So when people ask me what kind of music you play, I tell them quickly, American music. Texas style. Always keep that in there.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for When Houston Had the Blues, available on major streaming platforms, including iTunes, Apple TV, and Tubi, beginning September 24th. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. Joining me to talk all things When Houston Had the Blues is director Alan Swyer. How are you, sir?
I'm happy to be here with you.
A pleasure, sir. I got to thank you as a music connoisseur, as a lover of this genre as well. This was great to see. It just reminded me of the greats that came before and inspired my generation and every other generation since then. And it's just lovely to see, because if we forget our past, they're banished, and we don't want to banish them to the shadow realm. We want them to be in our hearts, because we wouldn't have what we have now without them. So thank you for this documentary.
Oh, my pleasure. It was an absolute joy to make.
Wonderful and amazing. You have so many people in this, but with that being said, because of the amount of interviews and everything that you captured in this, I wanted to know, how did this start? I saw when I was doing a little bit of homework, you were on Baywatch. You were writing with Richard Pryor on Critical Condition. We're doing a boxing film. Where did the blues come for you? Can you just tell me how this project got started?
Sure. Well, about me, first and foremost, my formative years were spent in a black neighborhood. So I never discovered this music. It was there. My mother's kitchen was smoke. There was a soul food restaurant down at the corner where I, as a young kid, got to hear Big Maybelle, Wynonie Harris, Lightnin' Hopkins, Big Mama Thornton. So from day, it was the air that I was breathing, and I loved it. This film came about in an interesting way. A young producer named Drew Barnett Hamilton approached me and said, "Have you ever heard about the El Dorado Ballroom in Houston? Do you think it can be a film?" And I said, "I've heard of the El Dorado, but there's much more to Houston than just that ballroom." And so we started talking. She's great. She's now my producing partner. We hit it off so well, and we're doing a second film. We're in post-production on a second film, doing for the black music in LA what we did for black music in Houston. So you and I can talk about that in the months ahead.
Oh, I would love to. Please, Drew, shout out to you. Shout out to Drew Barnett Hamilton. I would love to chat about that. Yeah, because I'm a lover and a connoisseur of this music. And as a person of color, actually, if I may, real quick,
Sure.
why I just love this documentary in so many ways is I grew up around music. I was in church choir, and then I was in a boys quartet in high school. And, but I grew up, my dad was in the Navy, military sailor, loved classic rock. And so, I was getting those genres,
Right.
into my musical love. And, but one of the things I noticed as a kid and as a mixed kid, if you will, as a person of color was, where's the representation? And then what I would love to hear when I started doing research, and because I started getting all these influences in it, was that, there's these blues artists. Rhythm and R&B was because of the blues and the rhythm scene, so just how all these genres came from before. It made me dive into this research and learn that it wasn't Elvis, which we find out as well through your film, that sang that song. It was Big Mama
Thornton. Absolutely.
Exactly. So I'm so thankful for this, because it's going to hopefully educate and inspire a whole nother generation.
That's my goal. To me, the film is about race, culture, economics, politics, and above all, the greatest music ever made. This may sound like heresy, given that Ray Charles was a close friend. And I think Modern Sounds in Country and Western is a brilliant album. But to me, the greatest album ever produced was Bobby Blue Bland's Two Steps from the Blues out of Houston, Texas, Duke Peacock Records. And it's an homage to that kind of music and the amazing scene down there that never, ever, ever got its due. There'd be no rock and roll. There'd be, as you pointed out, there'd be no R&B without this kind of music. Big Mama's version of Hound Dog was 3 years before Elvis. And if I can point something out, I had that was written by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller. And I interviewed Mike Stoller for another film I made. And after the interview was over, I said, all right, tell me about Big Mama versus Elvis. And he started to laugh. I said, what's so funny? He said, well, Elvis recorded 21 of my songs, the songs that I wrote with Jerry. But the real truth is with Big Mama, it's a metaphor. It's about a woman who's not going to put up with with some guy who's dogging around trying to live off of her. Elvis is about a dog. Woof, woof, woof. It makes no sense.
I love it. I could listen to stories like this 24/7 because it's so entertaining and just so inspiring. Well, one of the things I wanted to ask before I forget, because I can get lost in the sauce because I love this so much and I love the genre. How the way you're able to get so many amazing legends involved in this, but also I have to say, towards the end of the film, a lot of them passed once that we see towards the end of the film.
Sure.
And I love that you honored them and were there to do that. How were you able to get so many of these people involved?
People were thrilled that we were making it. People were ecstatic. Oh, we're going to get acknowledged. People care. Most people care about legacy. The people who matter care about legacy. And I mean, when I spoke, Drew and I we discovered that C.J. Chenier, Clifton Chenier's son, like his dad, lives in Houston. Everybody associates them with Louisiana, but both of them spent their entire adult lives in and around Houston. And Drew said, I'll reach out to the managers, the booking agents. I said, who are they with? When she told me, I said, don't reach out. The president of the company is an old friend of mine. So I called my friend Jack Randall at Curl and Associates, and I told him what I wanted to do. He said, give me 10 minutes. He called me back. He said, CJ's waiting for your call. And CJ said, did you ever see my daddy play? And I said, absolutely. And he said, where? Assuming I was going to say that I saw him in concert. Instead, I mentioned that I'd seen him at a place called Verbum Dei High School in LA, which was Louisiana transplants. He said, if you saw him there, we're going to get on. That's what the mother's cooking gumbo in the high school gym. Because Clifton Chenier, he wasn't a concert artist, even though he made money that way. He was he played dances. The Cajun community wanted music, and that's what he provided. And that's true. You know, we live in an age where there's glitz rather than the goods all too often. The people in the film, Big Mama, Bobby Blue Bland, Lightning Hopkins, Clifton Chenier, the great Katie Webster, whom nobody sadly knows about in this country, but was a star in Europe, and on and on and on. They were first and foremost entertainers. My take is that the blues gets you through Saturday night, and then you go to church on Sunday morning. And basically the music is the same.
Oh man, so real, so real.
Just to her for him.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Was there any story that surprised you along the way that stands out?
You know, it was really, really interesting to me to hear that so many of these people really fell upon tough times. And the great news is that a lot of them got recognition. Got a second, F. Scott Fitzgerald said there are no second acts in American lives. And that's not entirely true. New audiences in Europe and then here as well rediscovered these people. Part of it, interestingly, owed to the British blues guys, because some people read liner notes or look at look and see who wrote a song. Wait a second, that's Van Morrison is covering Lightning Hopkins' "Baby Please Don't Go," and same thing with Elvis and Big Mama. But there were other anecdotes. I wanted to have somebody, a guitarist of today from Houston, and I reached out to Edgar Winter, whose manager said, Edgar will happily do it if you'll pay him. And I thought, how can I pay Edgar Winter and not pay Lightning Hopkins or, Ayers or people like that? So I said, no, thank you. And instead wound up settling, and I'm saying that facetiously, with Billy Gibbons, whom I'd much rather have. And who is keeping up that tradition. You mentioned Lightning Hopkins or Big Mama Thornton or Katie Webster to Billy Gibbons, and you saw on screen, he lights up.
Wow.
I want people who want to be in my films to be in the films.
Love that.
And, we had a choice of which festival to premiere at, and we chose to do it in Houston because we thought it was appropriate. Also, we wanted a lot of the people who were in the film or their heirs to be able to come. They said it was in a multiplex, and they sold out the first theater in no time. So they called us. They said, "Do you mind if we put it in a second theater? It'll mean that you'll have to go from one theater to the next to introduce the film." I said, "Look, I'll bring a skateboard." And so they sold that one out in a day. And they called again and said, "Can we try a third?" We wound up selling out 3 theaters. But the joy for me was that Katie Webster's family was there. Jewel Brown, shortly before she passed away, she came to the screening. CJ Chenier came to the screening. Lots of the people in the film and or their relatives were able to see the film with an audience, which is a really special event. I'm also happy to say we won Best Picture.
Congratulations. And that's just so amazing. And man, again, legends, we're losing legends every day, but hopefully with eyes on this, they will live again through the work, and people will see them, and people will go back and listen to their music, and they will live and breathe again through our minds and hearts.
You called it. That's our goal. I mean,
yes.
We were shut down during the pandemic, and that cost us a significant amount of time because we weren't going to jeopardize anybody's well-being. But sadly, we've lost 5 of the people on screen. And it's a privilege for us. Guitar Shorty, who was a friend of mine, it was his birthday yesterday, and we lost Shorty some months ago. I'm thrilled that their legacy will live thanks to this film.
Definitely. Alan, such a great piece. I love it, not only for the musical aspects of it, but for the knowledge and historical aspects of the city of Houston and how historical things changed, why the music moved around and how society got affected by it. I learned so much through this, and I can't thank you enough for that. Because
my pleasure. I'm glad you mentioned that, because to me, the fact that, you know, what happened in Houston happened in other cities as well. At a certain point in time, the, you know, desegregation was really crucial, but there were consequences, unintended consequences. People moved, the people who moved away were the people with money. You know, and they were the consumers, but also the role models for the most part. But then what happened in the aftermath was really horrible. The city of Houston wanted to put up a new freeway. And why did they pick the Black neighborhood? Because property values were lower and there was less political clout. So they literally split the Black neighborhood in half, killing it. And as you and I know, that things like that happened in other cities, and it's an injustice that can never be corrected, because there was a vibrant sense of community in Houston, just as there was in, you know, when people think of Harlem, people think about other places. Houston had that and more, and Houston had something that very few cities had, and that's the vital record labels owned by Don Roby, which provided work for studio, not just for the stars, but for studio musicians, engineers, sound, songwriters, etc. There was a symbiotic relationship between the labels and the city, and there were clubs galore, high and low, everything from, you know, the sophistication of the El Dorado Ballroom to a place justly named Shady's Playhouse, with sawdust on the floor and shotgun shacks behind it. But everybody, you know, the goal was to record for Don Roby. And of course, sadly, Roby died just at the same time as the city was cutting the Black district into two. But you know, it's an honor for me to present to the world this story, and as I said, above all, amazing artistry on the part of these people. And you know, and I'm actually indebted to rappers who sample some of these people, keeping it alive. You know,
that's been it for me quite a bit as well, which made me dive in and just get that deeper appreciation for the craft.
That's great. Yeah, no, it's fun. I mean, that's why, you know, somebody like Chuck D, you talk to him about music and he knows everything. And that, you know, that pleases me, because that's part of the tradition, keeping it going.
Exactly. Well,
anyway,
Alan, you did the job with this, and along with your partner, Drew Barnett Hamilton, bravo. Virtual flowers to you both.
Thank you so much.
I cannot wait to watch this with other friends and share it with other friends. And let me remind everybody again, it will be on all streaming VOD platforms, iTunes, Apple TV, Tubi, beginning September 24th. Just an amazing piece of work. As a creative, as an artist, as a filmmaker, this type of film is why I got into the business that I am in, is to inspire, educate, and entertain. And you did all of that with this project. So bravo to you, sir.
And thank you. And I will tell you, we had a great time doing it.
Excellent.
We met wonderful, wonderful people, all of whom invited us into their homes, and fortunately are thrilled with the result.
Well done, and thank you, everybody. Alan Swyer, director of When Houston Had the Blues, again available on all VOD platforms beginning September 24th. Sir, again, an honor and a pleasure. When that LA project drops, I would love to have you back on so I could throw more flowers at you and chat up that amazing new project.
You want to hear some of the people I interviewed, or some of the people we deal with?
Sure, let's go before we get up out of here. Let's go.
Okay, people we interviewed: John Densmore and Robbie Krieger of the Doors, Dave Alvin of the Blasters, a guy named Bobby Bradford, first trumpet player for Ornette Coleman, now 91 years old. Willie Chambers of the Chambers Brothers, 86 years old. Really great people. We deal with Ray Charles, Sam Cooke, Louis Jordan, Nat King Cole, Etta James, Big Mama Thornton, and Eddie Cleanhead Vinson, Big Joe Turner, and a lot of people you haven't heard of as well. Really, really fun. And I didn't have to get on an airplane at all.
Was this Zoom?
No, I live in LA.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Because that has changed my ability as a producer as well now. So thank you. Well, it's sad. It's a sad to say that COVID made it happen, but we're finding new ways to create. And again, I cannot wait to see that and talk to you all about that. And again, this project was so beautiful, and I can't wait for the rest of the world to see this and learn more, because it's so important. And especially, we want to give them their flowers before they pass away. We want to give it to them now. And I love that you've done that. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Everybody, again, When Houston Have the Blues, go check it out. Links in the description below. I'm Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World. All right, Alan, there's a cut. Recording. I'm going to give a 3, 2, 1 count to bring us in off the trailer, and we'll get right into it, sir. Here we go in a 1, 2, 3.